Hi, welcome to Empress Presents Understanding Your Plan, the 1977 Police Officers and Firefighters Pension and Disability Fund, or 77 Fund for short. This presentation is intended for public safety officials employed by local municipalities and covered by the 77 Fund. The information provided in this recorded presentation explains the current benefit provisions applicable to the 1977 Fund. In the event that legislative changes take place and there's a conflict between the information in this presentation and the statutes at the time that your benefit is processed, Empress is required to distribute your benefits in accordance with the 77 Fund laws. Before diving in, I'll go ahead and give some basic information about the 77 Fund. The 77 Fund provides retirement benefits, disability benefits, and survivor benefits. The benefit itself is funded by both employer and employee contributions, and the plan itself is administered by us, the Indiana Public Retirement System. I want to talk a bit about the contributions and how the benefit is funded to start with. So again, your benefit is funded by both employer and employee contributions. The contributions that are made are based upon your individual police or fire department certified salary. Certified salary is defined by the first class firefighter or patrolman salary plus all longevity increases. Your employer pays 20.3% currently of that certified salary for 2025. That contribution rate can be changed annually and is set by IMPRS. In addition to the employer contribution rate, you, the employee, are also required to contribute to your benefit. The statute states that you, the employee, must pay 6% of your department's certified salary each pay period. Depending on who your employer is going to determine whether or not you actually pay that contribution or whether they pay all of it or some of it. In other words, they can choose to pick up some of that or pay all of it for you. That 6% contribution is required all the way up until you hit 32 years of service. Once you hit 32 years of service, that contribution is no longer required to be paid. The 6% contributions is the portion of your account that you actually see a balance on. A lot of times people will ask us, what exactly am I seeing when I see that balance? Is that what the city pays in, or is that what my contributions are? Your balance on your account are the employee contributions. Depending on whether you pay those contributions or your employer pays those contributions is going to determine if those contributions are done before taxes or after taxes. If it is employer funded, your contributions are done pre-tax, meaning they will be taxed later on in your retirement benefit. If you, the employee, pays those contributions, it's done after taxes, which translates to part of your retirement benefit being tax-free later on. Another topic that comes up quite frequently with 77 Fund members is the designation of beneficiaries. As a 77 Fund member, your beneficiaries are determined by statute. By law, your beneficiary is your spouse or your dependent children under 18 years old. If your dependent children are studying at a college or university, they can be an eligible beneficiary until they turn 23 years old. In the event that you do not have a spouse or dependent children, next in line for your benefit are wholly dependent parents. In the event that you do not have any of those eligible beneficiaries, you can choose to designate any person as your beneficiary to receive your contributions if something happens to you before retirement. In the event that you do not have the eligible beneficiaries and have not listed anybody on your contributions, at that point something happens to you, your contributions would then be paid to your estate. Now that some of the basics are out of the way, I'll next discuss the actual 77 Fund benefit. The 77 Fund pension benefit is paid on the 15th of every month and is a lifetime benefit to you, the retiree. The retirement date that you choose is always going to be the day following your last day of work. You are able to choose whichever day of the month you like as your retirement date, so long as you meet the full retirement eligibility requirements, which I'll touch on in a second. Depending on your employer, you may or may not be able to use accrued leave time on your last day of work. Your pension benefit is calculated based on the certified salary for the year that you stop working. To tie all of this together, I'll give an example. If you were to retire or work your last shift June 19th, 2025, your retirement date or your benefits would actually go effective June 20th, 2025. You likely would not receive your first pension payment until the next month, July 15th. That July 15th payment would be for the entire month of July and would include a prorated payment for the month of June. I'm going to talk about the eligibility requirements for normal retirement. 77 Fund members, you become vested at 20 years of service. With 20 years of service, you are able to start drawing the benefit with no reduction at age 52. The amount of service that you have at retirement determines how much of your department's certified salary that you receive in form of a monthly benefit. With 20 years of service, you will receive 52% of your department's certified salary for the year that you stopped working. For each additional 6 months that you work, your pension will pay an additional 1% of that certified salary. The 77 Fund benefit maxes out at 32 years, which gives you 76% of the certified salary. You may continue to work beyond 32 years, however, you do not accrue any more percentage of that certified salary. That being said, your benefit may still increase the longer you work, so long as your department's certified salary does increase year to year. Here you will see an example of what a full retirement benefit looks like. You'll notice on the screen the member started service in July of 1994 and separated service in July of 2024, giving them 30 years of service. You'll also notice the certified salary for this department was $75,000. The pension is going to pay 72% of that $75,000 or $54,000 annually as far as a benefit. That breaks down to $4,500 per month that the pension will receive in his or her pension. As a 77 Fund member, there's also the ability for you to take an early retirement. Early retirement still requires that you are vested, so 20 years of service, but it allows you to draw the benefit up to 2 years prior to age 52. The year that you start drawing the benefit is going to determine how much the benefit is reduced. If you start drawing the benefit at age 50, there is a 12% reduction on your monthly benefit. If you wait until age 51, it is a 6% reduction on your monthly benefit. Please keep in mind, if you choose to take an early retirement, your benefit is reduced for the rest of your life. It does not increase 6% every year as you get older, and it does not switch to a full retirement once you turn 52 years old. Please note that you're also not required to take an early retirement if you separate service after 20 years but prior to age 52. You are able to go ahead and delay starting that benefit until your 52nd birthday. So again, we see an example of a pension benefit, but this time it is demonstrating what an early retirement looks like. You'll see in this example, the member started service July of 2004 and separated employment in July of 2024, giving them 20 years or 52% of their department's certified salary of $75,000. The full benefit in this case, had the individual waited until age 52, would have paid $3,250 per month. However, they opted to start the benefit at age 50, giving them 88% of that amount, or $2,860 per month. Again, with the early retirement, that $2,860 per month is the benefit amount he or she will receive for the rest of their life. One of the great benefits within the 77 Fund is the Deferred Retirement Option Plan, or DROP. In the next couple slides, I'll go through the basics of the DROP, how it works, and also giving you an example of what the benefit looks like. The DROP is only available to a member with the 77 Fund that is eligible for full retirement benefits. So again, they must have 20 years of service or more and be at least 52 years old. A 77 Fund member may only make one DROP election in his or her lifetime. The DROP benefit itself allows somebody to set a future retirement date and then continue working in their 77 Fund position up until their future retirement date. When somebody enters the DROP, their benefit is calculated as if they were retiring on that day. Just like a retirement date for regular retirement, you may choose any day of the month to enter the DROP. When you enter the DROP, you will select a set amount of time that you're going to participate. The minimum time period that is allowed is 12 months or 1 year, maximum being 60 months or 5 years. If you enter the DROP prior to July 1st, 2024 and have not yet retired or exited the DROP, you do have the opportunity to extend your DROP participation up to 60 months from your initial DROP start date. The frozen benefit that is calculated, or pension benefit that's calculated when you enter the drop, is multiplied by the number of months that you participate in the drop. Once you retire and exit the drop, you'll not only receive a monthly pension benefit, but you're going to receive a lump sum of money equal to the number of months that you were in the drop multiplied by your pension amount. If you enter the drop, you must exit or retire on the drop exit date that was agreed upon when entering the program. If you choose to work beyond that date or retire sooner than that date, you will forfeit the drop lump sum money and your pension is recalculated as if you never had entered. In the event that you have to retire due to disability, there is a provision that may allow you to keep your drop lump sum. I'll touch on that in the next couple slides. Please note that a 77 fund member is required to retire by Indiana law by the time they turn 70 years old. So please keep that in mind when choosing your drop enrollment and exit date. If you do choose to enroll in the drop, you will get something sent to you from IMPRS that looks very similar to this. This is an estimate of what your drop benefit looks like. I'll go through this here and explain everything, how everything works. So you'll see here that in this example, again, the member started service July of 1994, entered the drop July of 2024. So their pension is going to be based upon 30 years or 72% of their certified salary of $75,000. Again, pension's going to be $4,500 per month. This individual, you'll notice, is entering on July 24, and drop retirement date you'll see is July of 2027 or 36 months later. So this individual's pension will be multiplied by 36 months, and when they walk away from retirement, they will have a lump sum of money equal to $162,000 and a $4,500 per month pension. You'll also notice at the bottom of this there's a breakdown of taxable portion and non-taxable portion. That is because this individual's department did not pay their 6% employee contributions, and the employee was paying it out of their paycheck, which again equates to part of their monthly benefit being non-taxable at retirement, also equates to part of their drop lump sum being non-taxable at retirement. As someone that participates in the drop, when you separate employment and retire, you'll have 3 different payment options to take your drop lump sum of money. The first option is to withdraw your drop as one lump sum. You will pay federal taxes and could be subject to state and county taxes on a lump sum withdrawal. You also have the ability to roll your drop lump sum to another qualified account somewhere else. You defer taxes by doing that. You'll pay the taxes eventually, though, down the road once you start drawing it out of whatever account it was rolled into. Third option you have is to take your drop in 3 annual installments or 3 lump sums. Those lump sums are stretched in 3 consecutive tax years. It allows you to stretch the tax burden over 3 years instead of 1. Please note that if you choose the 3 annual installment payment option, that your drop lump sum does not accrue any interest. Again, please keep in mind that with the drop, you not only get the lump sum of money, you'll also get the frozen benefit or pension benefit that was calculated when you entered the drop. In the event that you choose to not take the drop lump sum, whether you work beyond your date or separate employment sooner, again, you are eligible to do that. We will recalculate your benefit as if you never entered the drop, and you will forfeit the drop lump sum of money. The drop is only permitted to be entered one time in a 77 fund member's lifetime, so if you do choose to forgo the drop, forfeit the benefit, you're not allowed to enter it again at a different date. Enrolling in the drop is relatively easy. Step 1 of participating in the program would be to request an estimate. You may be able to do this yourself, figure out what your certified salary is, what percentage your pension is going to pay of that certified salary, and then how many months you want to participate in the drop. If you think you need assistance in getting an estimate or calculating what the drop would look like for you, we are more than happy to help you. You're welcome to reach out to us. Once you have decided to participate in the drop, you'll go ahead and fill out a drop enrollment form, or the official term or official form name is application for participation in the deferred retirement option plan. That form is available on our website. It's very easy to get to. Once you complete the drop form, you'll have to submit that to us prior to your drop entry date. The drop form can be accepted several different ways. You're welcome to mail that to us, email it to us, fax it to us, or drop it off at our local office in downtown Indianapolis. Again, we must receive that drop enrollment form prior to your drop entry date. Once we have the drop enrollment form, we will mail you a document stating that we have accepted the drop form, and then you'll receive a second letter sent to you that is an actual estimate similar to what we went through a few slides ago. The big thing on that drop estimate that will be stated at the bottom is a date that you must stop working. So it'll tell you what your last day of work has to be in order to not forfeit the drop benefit. As mentioned earlier, there's a provision within the 77 fund that allows someone to keep their drop benefit if they have to retire due to disability or injury. So long as you have been in the drop for at least 12 months, MPERS will recalculate your drop exit date. As you can imagine, your benefit with 77 fund is a taxable benefit. You will select how you want taxes withheld at the time of retirement, and those withholding elections can be changed at any time during retirement. Your benefit is subject to federal or IRS taxes, and then depending on what state you reside in, you could have to pay state and or county taxes. Those of you that will stay in the state of Indiana, the current benefit will be taxed by federal, state, and county. If you move to a different state, you are not required to pay the Indiana taxes, but we will withhold another state's taxes if necessary. The retirement process can vary in length of time depending on whether or not you participate in the drop and for how long you participate in the drop. If you do choose to participate, you'll need to go ahead and enroll yourself by filling out the drop enrollment application from our website and submitting that to us. Whether or not you're going to participate in the drop, it's still not a bad idea a few years from your retirement date to go ahead and contact IMPRS to obtain an estimate of what your pension benefit looks like. Additionally, it's not a bad idea to set a budget and review your current income needs and what your monthly expenses are to make sure that retirement is feasible for you. Additionally, if you have other retirement plans like a 457 plan through your municipality, outside IRA with a financial advisor, or Social Security Administration, for those of you that have paid in, it's not a bad idea to start gathering information about those benefits as well. Lastly, and fairly obviously, you'll want to go ahead and set a retirement date that works for you and your family and that aligns with your retirement goals. At least 3 months prior to your retirement date, you'll need to submit a retirement application with MPERS. That application is located online in your online account at myimpersretirement.org. Whichever type of retirement benefit you're going to take, early, regular, or drop retirement, the application is required to be submitted. Please keep in mind, if you are in the drop, the initial drop enrollment form is not your retirement application. You still need to submit an application at least 3 months prior to your drop exit date. The application itself is pretty straightforward. It's going to ask you what your retirement date is, your survivor's information, how you want taxes withheld, how you want your drop paid out if applicable, and then what bank account to send the benefit to. If you do need assistance with the application, we are here to help you. This is just a simple cheat sheet that shows you when you should be submitting your application in relation to the month that your retirement date falls under. You'll notice all submission deadlines are 3 months prior to the retirement date or retirement month. The 77 Fund has what's called the Healthcare Enhancement for Local Public Safety, or HELPS provision. This allows a retiree to use their pension and deduct healthcare or long-term care insurance premiums on a tax-excluded basis up to $3,000 annually. If you do choose to have your insurance premiums deducted from your pension every month, there are a couple forms you'll need to complete, which are on our public website, and then submit back to us before you want the deductions to start. Working after retirement is a fairly common topic for retired 77 Fund members because of the relatively young age that you can retire at. You are certainly able to receive your pension and receive a paycheck simultaneously, but there are a few rules that go with that. The main rules do pertain to reemployment in a civilian PERF job. If you were to retire, start your 77 Fund pension, and get a civilian PERF job at a different municipality, you can do so immediately. In the event that you get a PERF civilian job with the same municipality you retired from, you're able to do that as well. If you are younger than 55 in that scenario, you have to have a 30-day separation of employment. If you are 55 or older, no separation time period is required. If you reemploy in a position that is not covered by one of the IMPRS funds, you can rehire as soon as possible. There's no rules with doing that. In any type of reemployment, there is no income restriction on your pension. The 77 Fund does not specify that you can only make under a certain amount of money. You're welcome to make as much income as you can. If you do terminate employment other than by death or disability, you're going to fall under one of two categories, those being less than 20 years or not vested, or 20 years or more or vested. With less than 20 years of service, if you separate employment, you do have the option to withdraw your contributions as a lump sum, less taxes, roll it to another qualified account, or simply defer the balance and leave it with 77 Fund. Please note that if you leave the balance with 77 Fund, it does not accrue any interest after 5 years. If you do separate employment and withdraw your contributions and then rehire into another 77 Fund position, you will start over at 0 years of service. You are able to buy back your service or buy back your contributions, and then that way your service is restored if you do rehire into a 77 position later on. In the event that you separate employment after being vested or having 20 years of service, the 77 Fund does hold your funds until your pension starts. You do not have the option to withdraw your contributions once you are vested. The next topic that I'll cover is the disability benefits available to you, 77 Fund members, and this is actually where the 77 Fund does get a little bit complex. Under the plan, or under the fund, there's two different disability plans. The one that you are included in or entitled to is going to be determined on when you hired in. So we have the pre-1990 plan and the 1990 disability plan. If you hired in prior to January 1, 1990, you're going to be in the pre-90 plan. If you hired in after 12/31/1989, you're going to be in the 1990 disability plan. I'll start with the pre-1990 plan. It is pretty straightforward. If you are a pre-1990 plan member and you are injured on the job and can no longer perform your duties as a police officer or firefighter, there's three main steps you'll take to receive a disability benefit. The first one is your local pension board will conduct a determination hearing or meeting to determine whether or not you can in fact perform your job duties as a police officer or a firefighter. The second step would be, once that determination is made, your department will send any medical documentation and meeting notes to IMPRS for review. If it is determined that you are going to qualify by IMPRS for a disability benefit, your benefit is calculated as if you had retired at age 52. The benefit is then paid to you for the duration of your disability. The 1990 plan is a little more complex than the previous plan because the benefit can be classified into three different classes or three different types of disability. Additionally, there is a degree of impairment determined by the MPERS medical authority or MPERS doctor that ultimately determines how much someone's benefit will pay them. The steps to go on a 1990 disability are pretty similar to the pre-90 plan. So step one would, your local pension board or department would hold a determination hearing to confirm what type of or what class of disability that you should be entitled to. Additionally, they'll determine whether or not you can perform your duties as a police or firefighter. Once the determination hearing is completed, then your department will send documentation to MPERS to then be reviewed by our medical authority, at which point medical authority will confirm the class of disability and determine the degree of impairment to ultimately determine how much your benefit pays you each month. This chart breaks down how it is determined which class disability a 77 fund member may be entitled to. So you'll see there's a class 1, class 2, and class 3 disability. You'll notice that a class 1 disability does pay the most, followed by class 2, followed by class 3. Additionally, a class 1 disability is always considered a non-taxable benefit. Class 2 disability may be considered non-taxable depending on how much service credit the 77 fund member has, and then class 3 disability is always a taxable benefit. Class 1 and Class 2 disability can come with a supplemental benefit once a retiree turns 52 years old. The way the supplemental benefit is calculated is MPERS will review how much the regular retirement would pay had a member kept working until their 52nd birthday. If the regular retirement benefit is going to pay more than the disability benefit, then the difference between those two is the supplemental benefit paid to the member starting at their 52nd birthday. That supplemental benefit is a taxable benefit. When you hired into your 77 fund position, you were required to take a baseline medical examination. In this baseline exam, there are medical conditions or excludable medical conditions that are outlined which prevent you from going on a disability if the disability is related to those excludable medical conditions. Additionally, you're not able to receive a Class 3 disability benefit for 4 years after your hire date or rehire date if your injury is attributed to an accident. Under the 77 Fund disability benefit, there's what's called the catastrophic injury provision. This provision states that if a member suffers an injury in the line of duty, and that injury is attributed to a 67 degree of impairment, which is not only limiting them to work as a police or firefighter, but also any gainful employment, then the member's disability will be equal to 100% pay or 100% of the department's certified salary. As that certified salary increases year to year, so will the member's disability benefit. The next topic I'm going to cover is the survivor benefits within the 77 Fund. In the event of your death, both a lump sum and a pension benefit will be paid out depending on the circumstance of your passing. This chart breaks down how much your surviving spouse, dependent children, and wholly dependent parents would be entitled to when you pass away. There's 3 different categories listed here. I'll go through them quite briefly. So the first one would be a non-line of duty death, meaning you're active and pass away but not in the line of duty, or you may be vested but not currently working as a 77 Fund member. If you pass away in that circumstance, there's a lump sum of $12,000 paid to your estate, sometimes called the funeral benefit, and then your surviving spouse is entitled to 70% of what your pension would have paid had you kept working or if you were drawing the benefit. If you have dependent children, either under 18 or if in school under 23, each dependent child is entitled to 20% of your monthly benefit until they reach 18 or 23. Again, in the event that you do not have a spouse or dependent children but have wholly dependent parents, your wholly dependent parents are entitled to 50% of your monthly benefit. Once you retire and pass away, same benefit is paid out, $12,000 to your estate, funeral benefit, and then your spouse is entitled to 70% of your pension for the rest of his or her life. And then the
Dependent children, if you still have any when retired, are entitled to 20% of your pension until they turn 18 or 23. Same thing again, if you don't have dependent children or a spouse, wholly dependent parents are entitled to 50% of your pension for the duration of their lifetime. Now, in the line of duty, the benefits that are paid out are substantially larger. So not only is there a $12,000 funeral benefit paid to your estate, but your spouse or surviving children will also receive a lump sum of $225,000 paid to them. Your surviving spouse is entitled to not 70% of your benefit, but 100% of your benefit. Additionally, your children are entitled to 20% of your monthly pension until they turn 18 or 23. And then, just like the other scenarios, in the event you're not married and do not have children, your wholly dependent parents are entitled to 50% of your benefit for the rest of their life. This slide simply revisits what we discussed earlier. There is an additional piece of information on here, though, regarding children with disabilities. So if you have an adult dependent child that is permanently disabled, either mentally or physically, their benefit does not shut off or turn off at 18 or 23 years old. They are entitled to your monthly benefit, 20% of it, for the duration of their disability. The last few things I'm going to cover are the IMPRS websites. I'm going to start with the public website, which can be found at in.gov/IMPRS. We show you this because the public website is very valuable. There's a lot of good resources on it. The 77 Fund Member Handbook is on there. So if you do have a question and are someone that likes to kind of do your own research, find your own answers, the handbook is a great place to look. There's also an FAQ section that is very good. You can type in whatever question or whatever topic you want information on. You click enter and it'll bring up several different sections of the website that are going to pertain to what your question was. Any form you need to complete with us, whether it's a drop enrollment form, whether it's a form that you're interested in buying service credit, any form you need to fill out is going to be on our public website for you to print out and complete. Additionally, there are some generic calculators you can use to calculate what your pension looks like or what a drop retirement looks like. And then there's also a scheduling tool where you can schedule a one-on-one appointment or a webinar with one of us. So if you do need assistance filling out your retirement application, or if you're a couple years out and want to just get an idea of what your benefit looks like, not a bad idea to schedule an appointment with one of us. We'll meet you in person somewhere, talk to you over the phone, or even do a virtual appointment if you like. The next website I'll talk about is the MPERS Secure website, which can be reached at mympersretirement.org. So this is your own individual website. All of your information's on it. It is very valuable to have access to this. Once you are ready to retire, this is where the retirement application is located. So if you're going to be completing that application yourself, you do have to have access to your account. Once you are actually retired, it's still very important to have access to this because you'll be able to update your direct deposit information here, update tax withholdings, update your mailing address, phone number, any contact information. Additionally, you're able to view payment history. You're also able to view tax documents for the purposes of filing your income taxes. So very valuable to have access to your online account. In the event that you do have additional questions or concerns, we are available to help you in a variety of different ways. You can call us toll free at 844-464-6777. You're also able to send any questions or concerns to us by email, questions@imprs.in.gov. And then you can also stop by our office downtown Indianapolis. We are open to the public, 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. You'll see our address right there. We are located on the corner of Capitol Avenue and Washington Street, directly across from the State House. We also do have a strong presence on social media, so we do encourage you to check out our Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or X account, as well as our LinkedIn or YouTube channel. Thank you for joining me today. Hopefully everybody learned a thing or two. Please let us know how we can help you in the future. Thank you.